Netflix's Bastard is out on June 30th, and I just watched the 1992 OVA and read a bunch of the manga. Bastard is fun, weird, risque, and batshit crazy. And I sort of can't believe that Netflix is even coming out with this new anime. Bastard, heavy metal dark fantasy, is a pretty fitting name because Bastard is filled with old school metal references. The Kingdom of Metallicana, or depending on the translation, Metallicana. The big bad is Anthrax or Anthrax. Our main protagonist, Dark Schneider, is named after Udo Dirk Schneider, the lead vocalist from the German heavy metal band Accept. Yes, everyone, our mangaka, Kazushi Hagiwara, is a fan of Dungeons & Dragons, heavy metal, and titties. Seems to love the titties. In all seriousness, Bastard wears its influences on its sleeve. Wizards are casting the spell Dio, or the patron god Blackmore's Rainbow's mystic arrow against a beholder. A Suzuki Dojazemon, which has its own hilarious origin in itself, as Hagiwara has actually named this monster a beholder straight from D&D, but had to change it due to a complaint from the Japanese publisher of D&D at the time, so the name is a combination of Suzuki, Hagiwara's editor, and the fact that he had done Do Geza, the bow of deepest apologies, for the action of using the trademark term beholder in the series. This was all just a joke because the editor didn't do this and wasn't even named Suzuki. So what exactly is Bastard? It's a manga from 1988 following the adventures of the 400-year-old wizard Dark Schneider, whose dream is to conquer the world and defeat all the strongest men so he can take all the women for himself. He was nearly successful in his conquest until his defeat by Prince Lars of Metallicana, 15 years prior to the opening of the first chapter. Dark Schneider used his powerful magical abilities to reincarnate himself into a boy named Lucian, who is adopted by the great priest Gio Noto Soto and raised alongside his daughter Tia Noto Yoko. When the kingdom of Metallicana is in danger from the evil individuals attempting to resurrect the demon Anthrax, Tia releases Dark Schneider from Lucian, as a kiss from a virgin does the trick. Hope now rides on DS. Will he save the kingdom of Metallicana and stop the 4 divine kings and the rebel armies? Or will he just create a harem and bone all the women he comes across? In Bastard's case, both. Dark Schneider will do both. Bastard is shonen ichi, old school dark power fantasy, if I've ever seen it. So I first started checking out the manga. I haven't read all 27 volumes just yet. I read a bit past where the 1992 OVA covered, which is around volume 6 or 7, although it skipped over some chapters and characters. And let me tell you, I did not expect to enjoy Bastard as much as I have been. It's not the greatest manga or even a must-read that's out there. Comparisons to Berserk have been floating around here and there. No. Just no. Does Bastard have some amazing artwork? Actually, yeah. Does Lars the Dragon sort of remind me of Puck? Also, yes. Does Ninja Master Gara remind me of Guts? Okay, yeah. Now, I don't want to spoil your experience if you're planning on watching the Netflix series or thinking of going into the scantillation of the manga, but I did skip ahead here in the manga to see where this all goes because I've heard a lot of shit. I'll include a timestamp here that you can skip to so you don't get spoiled, because I did read ahead a bit, skipping around, because I heard that before going on hiatus in 2010 that the late chapters of Bastard look nothing like the early ones. Ready? Okay, so Bastard is batshit crazy. Starts off as a boobalicious power fantasy, and eventually takes a religious route going into higher deities, with Satan himself making an appearance, and a war rages on between heaven and hell and angels and demons. But that's just the beginning of it, because at the beginning of the second arc, Hell's Requiem, which is where I believe the Netflix series will end right before only covering the first arc, buckle up. We learn that this is actually a far future post-apocalyptic world. Yes, humanity had previously advanced pretty significantly to the point of space travel, but magic was found and abused, and the goddess of destruction, Anthrax, was created and destroyed the world. I guess this isn't too big of a spoiler because this is mentioned very quickly in the 6th episode of the OVA. But really, what tops all of this off, I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but it looks as if Bastard shifts into sci-fi, mixing with fantasy and future technology. I didn't read these chapters in depth, I just kind of skipped around and... what is this? I didn't realize Bastard was going to be this much. And I think that it actually deserves its own deep dive in video form from me on this, so I'm gonna have to read through all of it and make a video sometime in the future, so subscribe for that. But just know that Bastard gets weird. Really weird. I'm ending the major spoiler talk here, so let's get back into the manga. Welcome back if you skipped. Is Dark Schneider hilarious? Yes, actually, he is. I found myself laughing quite a bit from his antics. Well, really just the hilarious shit he spews. Bastard reminds me a bit of the anime and the manga from that time, and that makes sense, the early 90s. The character designs and the action. Yu Yu Hakusho is the first that popped up, and even GTO Great Teacher Onizuka, more specifically Shonen Junai Gumi, or Young GTO, because I've been actually reading a few volumes of that, and it's great. I'm getting similar vibes. There's fighting and action mixed in with horny dudes. But this is where I shake my head a bit. I don't have any experience with ecchi anime or manga, which is content that is sexual and slightly or heavily erotic, and Bastard goes hard with this theming. In the beginning, not so much as to where it ends up, which near the end is literally an antagonist named Porno, who is nude, and Dark Schneider defeats by orgasming her until she explodes, I think? All while referencing Fist of the North Star. So I guess that makes it okay. But where was I going here? Yes, in the early chapters, this mainly plays out as Dark Schneider coming across sexy warriors that he has to fight that are trying to kill him. He defeats them and then has his way with them. And this happens at least 2 or 3 times from what I've read. And yo, seriously, Shonen Jump in the 80s and 90s must have been wild for having stuff like this in it. And yes, Bastard did ultimately jump to Ultra Jump in 2000. I mean, still, look at these panels. Well, I don't actually know if I'm going to show them because I don't think I can. They're pretty graphic. And it's not just some of the drawings of the sexy ladies, it's some of the plot. Yes, Dark Schneider, who his real name is Darsh, by the way, and I can't stop thinking of that South Park episode of the skiing.
Stan Darsh is more like it. Darsh.
But I digress. Dark Schneider's goal is, yes, to have a harem. He previously wanted world domination so he could kill all of the men in the world, so all the women were left for himself. But here's a couple of awkward plot lines. Heavy emphasis on the awkward. 1. Dark Schneider was reincarnated as the boy Lucian, who was raised alongside his sister Tia Noto Yoko, his adopted sister, but he seems to be in love with her. And speaking of love, Dark Schneider's previous lover, the half dark elf Arshis Nay, who I believe in German it stands for nice ass, was also raised by Dark Schneider from a child to make sure she had a fine body, and winds up being his lover. But I guess the reasoning as to why that's not so weird is because both Dark Elves and Dark Schneider live hundreds of years, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. It just gets to be a little bit too much, especially the artwork, for me at least. I'm no prude, but every woman is drawn to have this amazing, scantily clad body. And Hagiwara had even started to redraw some of these early chapters to be more in the style of the late editions of Bastard. And, well, look at how he improved the art. And to all of this, just add in the facts that the manga is out of print, mostly available only as scantilations, and has been on hiatus since 2010. I really just cannot believe that Netflix decided to take on this project. I wonder if we'll come back from hiatus or if we'll get new English releases, if the Netflix series does well. And we'll talk about the anime, at least the OVA, very shortly. I just wanted to mention that there are a lot more Bastard products out there, at least Japanese products. Out in the wild, Hagiwara created novels, data books filled with lore and answers to questions from readers, drama CDs, and even some video games. And there are a few expansions, I believe, once it moved to Ultra Jump, that reimagine early chapters with more violence and I think mostly just more sex scenes. I don't really need to look up those myself. I don't even know if it'd be possible to find those on the web. What is this, 1992 itself? But I'm going to link an awesome blog post that I found that goes through all of this, so if you want to find that information, there'll be a link in the pinned comment in my description. It may go to my website and have a link from there. Well, I'll see how I'm going to do it. Just check the link. Now, on to the OVA. Yes, when I say OVA, there is already a Bastard anime out there. It was a 6-episode OVA that was canceled before it actually finished. It was supposed to be 8 episodes. But as of right now, me recording this video, all 6 episodes are actually available on YouTube. We'll see how long that lasts, but if you want to watch, they're on there as dubs. And speaking of the dub, what a dub. For real. I'm 100% a sub snob, but some of those classic anime from the 90s, I'm talking the Triguns and Cowboy Bebops, Yu Yu Hakushos, and Rurouni Kenshins, those are the dubs that I like. And look at the cast of the dub for Bastard. Wendy Lee and Steve Blum.
From what I've been told, he's dead. girl. Kibidabu was defeated by a spell no one knows.
That's right, Faye Valentine and Spike Spiegel interacting with each other. What about Ghost in the Shell vets Mary Elizabeth McGlynn and Richard Epcar?
Shut up! Of course a vulgar scoundrel like you could never understand our ideals.
Judas, White Toast Nikki, and Iron Maidon.
I even recognize Yahiko from Kenshin with young Lucian, from Brienne Sedal.
Guess what? I washed some laundry for you. I hope you don't mind.
The best is saved for last, though. Yes, the original voice of Dark Schneider actually works pretty well. It fits the character. But Darren Norris, Cosmo from the Fairly Odd Parents, voices Dark Schneider. And let me tell you, Norris's performance makes Dark Schneider so diabolically evil that it's hilarious and honestly perfect.
Once I'm ruler of the world, any woman I want is mine for the taking. Gara, you're going to die!
Once again, I'll bring up Yu Yu Hakusho, as the characters are very similar in the art style with those big eyes and those frilly hairstyles. I mentioned earlier that the OVA follows about 6 or 7 volumes of the manga, but omits some chapters and reduces some characters to just that of cameos. 2 specifically, I think because, well, Dark Schneider has relations with both of them in the manga. But honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed these 6 episodes. Bastard in this form is much more dark fantasy magic battles with some comedic relief. There is still plenty of innuendo and even naked anime ladies, but that aspect of Bastard is definitely toned back. Well, I mean, Gara does use this slime spell that eats through clothes, but trust me, it's scaled back from the manga. What isn't toned back is the violence and gore. Holy shit. Gara and Dark Schneider both cut off each other's arms and continue their battle. Dark Schneider literally rips out his own heart from his chest. Bastard is truly metal. The animation itself is really high quality, especially for the time. I have no complaints here. Each episode includes a different boss for Dark Schneider to slaughter, with the exception of Ninja Master Gara, who takes up 2 episodes. I'm not going to break down the plot any further in depth because I believe we're going to get all of this and more in the Netflix adaptation, so I'll speak more to that in my video review that I'll make for that series. That being said, I still think this OVA is worth a watch if any of these check off a box that might interest you. D&D, Conan the Barbarian, or just 90s anime in general. Just know that it's going to be very adult, gory, and sexualized. Bastard is insane, and let's just hope that the Netflix adaptation, at least the first part, is going to be just as well. Season 1 is going to be 24 episodes, and we're going to get 13 episodes first on the 30th, and 11 later on, hopefully sometime this year. Check out my review of these first 13 episodes here, and if it's not popping up yet, make sure to subscribe and hit those bells to be notified when my video does drop. Until then, I'll see ya.